Today we're going to be talking to Kristina about homeschooling. Hi, Kristina. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Lily, and thank you so much for having me. Well, yes, my name is Kristina, and I'm from Iceland. I'm 34 years old, and my husband is from Sweden. And we have three children that are 7, 4, and 2 years old. So we have been homeschooling for 1 year, and this is our second year. So my educational background is that I'm a music teacher, I'm a nurse, and I'm currently specializing in ophthalmic nursing.
Awesome. So, can you tell us why you homeschool? Why you decided to homeschool your children?
So several years ago, I heard about homeschooling and I didn't know what it was. So I just wanted to see for myself if it was something for us. So I did some research on homeschooling and prayed about it. I read some books by Raymond and Dorothy Moore. And here are two of the books that I've read. I don't know if you can see them.
We can.
So Raymond was a psychologist and his wife, Dorothy, was a reading specialist. So their books are research based, which is something I really appreciate. I read a lot of stories about families that had homeschooled and saw that it was very beneficial for the children. So after reading these books and thinking and praying, I decided to give homeschooling a try. And in my preparation for this interview, I've also used a lot of knowledge from their books.
So, the next question is why is homeschooling better or more effective? Why is homeschooling better than public school?
So yes, there are several reasons why I believe that homeschooling is better for the child, and I will share with you 6 reasons. So the first reason is that boys mature later than girls, and when we put boys and girls in school at the same age, we are putting unfair pressure on the boys. So in homeschooling, the parent can adjust the program to the child, and the child has a lot of more freedom to move around whenever he wants. At home, there is more flexibility and more options for unstructured activities. So the child has more freedom at home, and that is easier, especially for the boys. And the second reason is related to the child's readiness for school. And for most children, reasonable maturity is for formal learning seems to be between the ages 8 to 10 or 11. And that age period, which is the optimum time for most normal children to start school.
Mhm.
So when children start or go to school later, entering with their age mates, they nearly always come out better academically, behaviorally, and socially. So academic readiness is closely related to social readiness. The child who is socially and emotionally ready for school will be much more comfortable and secure with the other students and the teacher in school. So, when is the best time for children to start school? So, according to the books that I mentioned, 8 is the minimum fail safe age for a child to enter school. But boys may not be ready until 9 or 10.
Mm.
So, if you homeschool, that doesn't mean that you can't do school tasks at home, but it will normally be without the pressure. And many children they seem to teach themselves to read if they are read to by their parents. And this is something I'm seeing in my oldest son. He is 7 years old, and I've hardly taught him to read. And what I've done, I've just tried to read to him and the other children every day. And by his own curiosity, he started to read. And he reads just because he wants to read. So I don't tell him to practice reading or tell him that now is the time to read. He just grabs a book or a magazine and he sits in the sofa and he can sit there for a good while and read for himself. So he can read in Icelandic and Swedish, and I find this extremely fascinating to see this and fun to see this and experiencing this. So I didn't know that a child could teach himself to read. And then we have more reasons. And the third reason is to prevent burnout. Children's abilities mature at different rates. Some children will read well at 5, but Most children aren't ready for formal learning until they are 8 to 12 years old. And nothing burns out parents or children faster than trying to teach the unready child.
Yeah.
It also involves stress on young brains before their brains have lateralized. That means before the two hemispheres are working together in a mature way. And therefore, it's just a waste of time to teach the children before their minds and bodies are ready. And then the fourth reason is to maintain children's freedom. And children, they need a lot of time to work out their own fantasies. And when a child shows a desire to explore and is ready to learn something, you should not let your own ideas dampen them. You could guide them, and you should guide them, but don't get in their way. Because children learn best by the discovery method, by observing, doing, experimenting, and imitating. So when we put our children in school, it is more difficult for them to explore. And parents need to give them the right environment so the children can explore and find out many things for themselves and experience real events. If the child is in school, it is more difficult to be creative because there are so many other children in a class and just one teacher. And if we just take some examples, we have Thomas Edison and George Washington Carver, and both of them developed marvelous talents with limited backgrounds and few school resources. And both of them had loving adults who just understood their needs and with appropriate guidance gave them freedom to explore. And then we have the reason number 5 why I believe homeschooling is a better choice, and that is the child learns faster. So, for example, if your child just starts school in the 3rd grade at age 8, he will learn much faster and retain better than those who started at 6. And that without experiencing anxiety and frustration that many of the early starters had experienced. So he will just learn in a few months what it took the other children to 2 or 3 years to learn. So as we homeschool our children, we must give our children as many real life experiences as possible to build their background of knowledge. And then when the children are older and start school, they have a lot of these they have learned this lot of these experiences, and then when they start school they will learn very fast. And then we have the last reason, the reason number 6, and that is so you can involve your children in work. So work is a valuable character building activity, and working with the hands is necessary for emotional health. So students who work with their hands develop practical skills and do much better with their hands. They also develop a sense of self-worth and feel needed and wanted and dependent on. And I've tried this with my children, and I've seen that they are calmer and happier and more satisfied when they do some work in the house. It also keeps them from misbehaving. What I have done is that I try to let them help me in the house from an early age. So my 2-year-old daughter, she has helped me with emptying the dishwasher and pick up the toys from the floor. And my 4-year-old, he is very interested in electronics. So he usually enjoys emptying this and starting the robot vacuum cleaner. And my 7-year-old likes when things get shiny and clean. So he helps me with washing the windows. So if my children don't want to help me with a particular working activity, I just try to find some other work that they are more interested in doing. So work is a very important part of our education, and as far as possible, we try to do it together.
Wow, you taught me a lot that I didn't know, so that this is really good. And I hope that this is going to be something that others who are watching can learn and incorporate into their families. So now, can you tell us, is homeschooling hard? Is it harder than public school?
So maybe the hardest part of homeschooling is that I'm always available for the children, and I often have to deal with discipline. But because I use the more formula, which I will explain later,
Okay.
I have less stress and I can enjoy the process more. So I'm very thankful for this formula. But I wouldn't say that homeschooling is hard, but it will take some effort and it takes a lot of time. So you might have to give either up your job or modify your schedule. So, for example, we are living on only one income, but we have also been blessed with help from grandparents. And because our children are very young, the academic pressure is very low. So our daily program is very flexible, which makes it easier.
What are the advantages of homeschooling?
There was research done on how many personal exchanges teachers had with their students per day.
Mhm.
And it showed that on average, a teacher only had 1 or 2 personal responses for each student per day. And
Wow.
in contrast, the counts of daily responses in typical homeschool range from more than 50 to nearly 300 per day. So at home, the child doesn't have to compete for the teacher approval or attention, but can
Mhm.
come directly to mother or father. And the child is also free to ask more questions when they are in a small group or alone with an adult. Another advantage of homeschooling is that children have the freedom to go places and do
Mhm.
things whenever they want. And if the child has siblings, you can have the older to teach the younger or the stronger to help the weaker. And that is very helpful in homeschooling.
Awesome. Wow. Those were some good points. And now, what are the disadvantages of homeschooling?
Yeah, that is that the schedule won't go smoothly every day,
Mhm.
and I, as a parent, I can't do all the things that I would like to do. I don't have a lot of time to for things like career and social life and hobbies. So I have to say no to many other things that I would like to do. But on
Mhm.
the other hand, I don't see this as a sacrifice because I want to spend time with my children. And when I see that my kids are growing and developing new skills, it gives me a lot of joy. I have a passion for homeschooling and I feel that my work is very meaningful. So I also know that childhood years pass by quickly, and I want to enjoy this time with my kids.
So, is homeschooling free? Does homeschooling cost money?
So we are homeschooling in Iceland, and in Iceland it is free. I get all the books. We get all the books from the school for free, and we don't have to pay for anything.
Awesome. I know that there is a website that also provides curriculum for free, and they can use it here in the United States. And I'll share that below so that you can, whoever wants to, can look into that too. All right. So, next question. It says, what is the best homeschool curriculum?
I actually don't know the answer for that
Mhm.
question, but I will share with you what we are doing. And we follow the curriculum in the school in Iceland. But
Mhm.
what is good to have in mind is that as a homeschooler, you can use the resources that are around you, all the talents and interests of people that are around you, your family, neighbors, and friends. For example, our children have spent some time with their grandparents and have had the opportunity to learn about plants, birds, and gardening. And their dad is a carpenter and also a good teacher, so he teaches them how to build things. He loves nature, and so he takes them out in the nature and teaches them how to navigate from a map and teaches them about the nature and about the wild animals in nature. And I'm a nurse and a music teacher, so I just teach them about the body and how the body works and what food is good for the body. And we sing and play together and listen to music together. So I would definitely try to find the resources that are around you and use them.
Awesome. That's a great tip. Now, the next question is how to prepare for homeschooling, how to prepare for the homeschooling year, even.
So I have only homeschooled for 1 year. But I what I do is I write down my plan and goals of homeschooling and use the books by Raymond and Dorothy Moore as a guide for what to accomplish with my kids. I need to know why I'm homeschooling and where I'm heading. That is my goals, what my resources are to teach, and how I want to teach. I also have the curriculum in mind and make sure that we follow that plan. And everything we do, I see as school. Just when we go to the grocery store, we sometimes talk about what to buy and how much we can buy. We talk about what food is healthy and unhealthy and what is expensive and or cheap. So, and when we go to the library, we learn how the books are organized and how to borrow from the library. And when we travel, we also try to look at the map and see where we are and where we're going. So, and also when we clean the house or cooking together, we're always learning something. I see life as school.
Yeah, there's always a lesson. Now, how many hours a day should someone homeschool their child? How many hours, for example, do you spend homeschooling?
Yeah, so if you are teaching only a one child at home, you can accomplish more in only 1 or 2 hours compared to what the teacher will accomplish the whole day with a classroom of children. So it only takes 1 or 2 hours per day.
Awesome.
So your child will save a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what to do when you finish homeschool early? What can someone do when they finish homeschooling early?
So if you have young children, I would just relax and do something that you enjoy doing together. If you have older children, I would involve them in home industry or let them work with something they are interested in.
Okay, that makes sense. And how can someone be successful in homeschooling? Any tips for successful homeschooling?
Yeah, it should definitely be flexible and free from academic pressure if the children are young, and a lot of freedom to explore. So, story time is very important for learning to read. So, you should read to your child every day for about 20 to 30 minutes and begin when the child is a baby. And then your attitude toward his learning is very important. You should be warm and responsive and make sure you ask a lot of questions that start with why and how. And just encourage the child to ask those questions too.
Awesome. And I was
And
reading, oh, sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
yes, and I use the Moore formula, which works very well in our home. I learned it from this book here. And the formula is divided into three parts, which are study, work, and service. So the first part is study. You study from few minutes to several hours a day, depending on the child's maturity. And you can accomplish much more if the child has the motivation to learn. So you just find out what interests the child and what motivates him and start when the child is ready. So as the child grows, he will start teaching himself when he wants. And the second part is work. So you do work every day, at least as much as study. So you can do work in the home, and when the children are old enough, you can start doing home industries. And the children will learn math by earning money. They also become positively socialized as they buy and sell. And work is also a great help against behavior and personality problems. And then we have the last part, and that is service. And this is something you could do daily or weekly. And it begins at the home where the child helps you with different tasks. And later you can go to neighborhood or visit people that need help. You could also visit nursing homes or do some kind of personal service. And this helps self centered kids to be more selfless and when they practice thinking of others, that will also help them against shyness.
That's a great point. And also, something that I recently heard in a seminar is the importance of spending time in nature, just outdoors. Like you said, freedom to explore, which that's key. Those were
Yes.
wonderful. And now, just a few more questions left. And the next one is, do homeschooling parents get paid?
So, no, not in Iceland. But I've seen homeschooling mothers that combine homeschooling with working from home. So I think and I guess that is possible to do both.
I don't think in the US they get paid either, but they can work from home and then homeschool simultaneously, like you said.
Yes.
And does homeschooling affect social skills?
So socialization is not neutral. It's either positive or negative. So most people believe that children are best socialized by mixing them regularly into groups of children about their own age. But children who spend more elective time with their peers than with their parents until the 5th or 6th grade, that is about 11 or 12 years old, they are at risk of becoming peer dependent. And that is something we want to avoid. So, a warm family is quite the best socializer. So, where parents are warm and responsive, children prefer their company and are more socially mature and secure in their family values than those of their peers. So, and what we usually see in homeschool children is that they will likely get along well with people of all ages. And the fact that they have long felt needed and wanted and dependent upon has given them a sense of personal competence. The child they know where they are going. The child is self-directed and independent in values and skills.
Awesome. I have yet to meet a homeschool child who's lacking social skills. So all the ones that I've met are excellent socializers. So now my next question and the final question is, does homeschooling cause depression?
So I was saying definitely not for the child, because children thrive very well on this program. For the mother or father who are homeschooling, I would say that it is extremely important that you get some time off and take care of yourself. So for me, exercise is the most important thing, I think. If I don't exercise, I will just get depressed. And I also have to make sure that I'm eating healthy and just trying to get enough sleep. Just try to go to bed early and drink a lot of water. Just take care of myself. And I also need to make sure that I'm spending time with my spouse and with God. So prayer helps me a lot. Prayer helps me to be in charge of my feelings instead of the feelings being in charge of me. So in the Bible, it says in John 8, verse 32, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that is what I feel when I spend time with God. He sets me free from negative feelings and negative emotions. He helps me just to focus on the positive things in life and be thankful. And thus, I have hope and peace, which is so important when you're dealing with kids and spending so much time with kids. It's so important that you balance yourself so you can help others. And that's why prayer helps me, and that's why I need time with God every day. But regarding homeschooling, just make it fun. Be creative and adjust the program to your family. If you have younger children, you probably don't go on as many field trips as if you had older children. So you just do what fits your family and try to have fun and enjoy the process. If something doesn't work, then change the program and do something else. I've done that many times, and that's the beauty of homeschooling. You can be flexible and change the program whenever you want. So just do what fits your family.
Awesome. Wow. So I think that I've learned so much, and I hope that whoever watches this will learn. I think the two books that you suggested are wonderful resources for us. And well, is there anything else that you'd like to add or say at this point?
No, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And, if anybody
Thank
has
you.
any questions, thank you. If anyone has any questions or would like to reach you, can they reach you somehow? Is it
Yeah,
okay to?
yeah, of course. On Instagram, it's okay. Happy Homeschooling is my name on Instagram.
Okay, awesome. So there you guys go. And I will include her link to her Instagram to make it easier for you to find her. Kristina, thank you so much for teaching us about homeschooling.